Hello folks and welcome. TUXEDO OS, latest version of the Plasma desktop. So I'm going to give you a tour and overview of this distribution and this desktop. Give you some tips along the way, and I'm also going to, as a bonus, talk about an instant PowerDown Now key that you can create and throw on your desktop. This one right here, it's kind of blended in the flowers. And I'll talk about this distribution from the standpoint of not only system information, but I'll give you some information on a different website about the distribution itself and their website if you're curious. So I'll say welcome folks. Today I'm filming in 3840 by 2160, in other words 4K. My video will be more than 2 minutes. All my videos have timelines and chapters. Welcome folks. First command I'm going to use is Alt F4 to close this window. I'll talk about these wallpapers in a little bit here because they are customized for this distribution. So let me grab a hold of a web browser, and I'm going to give you information on DistroWatch, but not ranking information. I don't use that information for that. I'm going to resize this on the fly. I don't really pay any attention to the ranking part. I don't use that information at all, and you shouldn't either. I'm using this more for information about the distribution. This part I do like. And that is, I'll make this larger for you folks on the fly. I'll show you what I'm doing here a little bit later. It's currently running at 140%. So TUXEDO OS is a Debian Ubuntu-based system. LTS is long-term support. They're out of Germany. They only offer one desktop, the KDE Plasma. They are listed as a beginner's category, and they do offer a live medium. What that means, folks, is you can test drive it. Let me make this bigger for you, and there's their website right there. You can always back up my videos. All my videos have timelines and chapters. Let me resize this back, and again, TUXEDO OS. I don't use the popularity information at all. This information is pertinent to me, though. This is their typical screenshot. I'm going to show you, I'll at least show you that in the wallpapers in a second. Alt F4 to close this window. Alt F4 closes a lot of windows. I will start with the wallpaper and get this over with. Right click, configure, desktop, and wallpaper. They have a lot of specialized wallpaper. You can see that denoted by the TUXEDO part. So here's one more, and it's kind of an intermixed pixelization along with a photograph. It's kind of strange looking wallpaper. Okay. So you know you're not seeing stuff that's blurry. This is pixelated on purpose. Alright, so again, I'll start at the top. I have my own that I brought in, and these are the standard wallpapers. Here's the one from that screenshot on DistroWatch. And then you have some intermixed. I've seen a lot of these also on regular Plasma desktops. But they're kind of intermixed in here. You can always back up my video. My videos all have timelines and chapters. Here's some of those specialized ones. Okay, with that said, I'm going to scroll to the top, and I'm going to use one of my old wallpapers here. I don't remember where I got this thing from. Alright, so I'm going to close this screen, and I'm going to first start with the on the panel bar on the launch application. So the favorites has got the Firefox web browser. You can install others. But TUXEDO Control Center is different from other Plasma desktops. I'll open this up. So you have a profile that's running, and it can toggle back your processor for less noise, that kind of thing. So there's some profiles you can kick in. Some extra tools for you, some information on that, some settings, and info. And then I am going to use Alt F4 and close that and continue. I don't have too much information on this because I'm not too sure what that tool does. I'll be honest with you. WebFI Creator, easiest way to prepare pen drive for TUXEDO's own fully automated installation. I'll just open this for a second. Again, I just being honest with you, don't know too much about that tool. I guess I could read more about it, but I'm going to continue. System monitor. So you can see some of my stuff here. How much memory, disk space, and CPU kind of stuff. I'm not going to click through this whole thing. It's just an overview of the system monitor. Alt F4 to close. Alright, we have the console. I'm not going to open that. I just showed you that earlier with system information. But I will open up system settings. In general, most of this stuff is standard. I'll give you information down here. So this is an X11 platform. There's the versions of the Plasma and the framework. Now you can see some of my hardware. The mouse pointer that I'm using is a non-standard one. This one's called Radioactive. I installed it through my file manager, but I did pick it out of this menu here once I installed it, because it's the place that I installed it is available for picking in here. Now you can see some of the other mouse pointers. I installed this one and this one manually. These are your standard ones. I believe this one here is the standard one. All right, in either case, let me move on to something more pertinent, maybe display monitor. 3840 by 2160, 60 Hertz at 200% scaling. I'm going to use Alt F4 and close this because we can be in there for a good 30 minutes talking about things. Dolphin File Manager. Now, you saw what I did in the I'm sorry, not the file manager, the web browser. When I resize stuff, I'm going to use the same method in here, holding down my control key with my left hand while scrolling with my computer mouse. Okay, so a lot of times the triggering mechanism is a little different. So again, it could be touchy and feely. If you've got a touchpad, you can also try this. Hold down your control key while taking 2 fingers and slide them up and down on your touchpad. If not, do it the old-fashioned way. It does come in handy when you're looking at photos, for instance. I'm resizing on the fly. You can probably see that moving. All right, so I have some weird wallpapers also. Alt F4 to close that screen, and Alt F4 to close the file manager Dolphin. Oh, I'm sorry, I wanted to make mention of where that mouse pointer is installed. So let me resize these a little bit smaller, and I will go the other way. And I'll use Control H to activate hidden files. So I created a folder called .icons. If you attempt to install one theme in the mouse cursor area, it'll create this folder automatically. But these are the 2 that I threw in here manually. So I downloaded those themes in my mouse pointer files. These I just uncompressed and threw them in there. Hopefully that was clear. So that they're installed in here, but they're picked in the settings. You activate them in here. You just pick that, hit apply, and log in and log out of your system. Always log in and out of your system when you change mouse pointers. Now I'm going to turn off my hidden, so Control H it is, and go to my home folder. Now you don't see that folder anymore. Alt F4 to close, and now I'm going to continue. All right, we have the Discover Software Center. Fetching updates. If there are any, it'll tell me there's some updates. So it's up to date. So Discover Center, settings. Where is the stuff coming from? Let me log in here for a second. And I'm going to make this a little bit larger so you can see the full line. Okay, now you can see where that stuff's coming from. And additional drivers, I don't need any. Anyways, I'll use the conventional close button. So you have a search feature, you also have the standard stuff. You find something, you can install it right away. If it's Flatpak, it has it's got a little tag on there. And then you can go take a look at if they got any screenshots. And if they got more screenshots, you can slide these back and forth. Okay, so basically I'm just looking at screenshots, and there's the installation thing. All right, Plasma add-ons, application add-ons. Alt F4 to close this whole window. Moving along. That was the last thing in my favorites. I'm going to skip over all, and anyways, you got a search feature here, and I'll talk about another powerful search feature once I close this box. So under development, we have the SMS, we have the games. This one I actually installed, but these 4 came installed, and then all of this came installed. Internet, Firefox, you can of course add others, and there's an email client, Thunderbird, down here also. Multimedia, I added Simple Screen Recorder manually. Everything else got installed. The music player, the camera thing, and the VLC. Full Office, LibreOffice, I'll just open that and click on the help for About. So this is 7.5. If you folks are not too familiar with Writer, you can actually save in Microsoft formats in here if you're not that familiar. I'll just use the conventional close button this time. And also under Office is Ocular Document Viewer. Science and Math, we have the LibreOffice Math. It's also located in the Office section. Settings is Settings. Don't need to click that. I already clicked that once. Under System, you got another shortcut to the Software Center, Dolphin, and Info Center. Close. And System again. Console, log, and all the rest of these things. I did install Hard Info, which comes up as System Profiler and Benchmark. I actually installed it in Terminal. This is another way of looking at system information. Again, this is made by Hard Info. If you're not familiar with installation commands for Terminal, let me cover that right now for the folks, since this is a beginner system, and I will actually type in history for the history buffer. This may be too small, so let me enlarge this for you. Hopefully this is large enough. Sudo means super user do, space, apt space, install is the command to install anything. It's going to get the software for the same places you get the software from here. Hard Info is the name of the application or software. Okay, now I'm going to use actually exit to close this box. I could also use Alt F4 or the X in the corner. So that was System Profile. That's how I installed that. Tuxedo Control Center, again, I opened that earlier, and VirtualBox. Again, another shortcut to the Control Center and this WebFAI. Utilities, you have a couple of them in here. And I also have Kate, the advanced text editor. I'm going to actually show this. There's a script file that runs this icon. I'll show that a little bit later using Kate. It's an advanced text editor. You also have a couple others in here. Screenshot tool, I do recommend that. If you've seen any of my videos in the last 4 years, I always recommend screenshots when you're messing around with system settings on any Linux distro. All right, moving along, the last one is VirtualBox. Help, Places, Sleep, Restart, and Shutdown. Now I have 29 seconds to think about it. Or I can force it to log out, force it to restart, force it to sleep, or I can just hit the gentle cancel. Unlike this one, if I double click, it doesn't care if I'm even filming. It'll power down the system immediately. All right, I've discussed all that. Now I'm going to show you an interesting little trick. I'm not going to click on anything. I'm going to start typing. Did you notice that I had a solitaire game installed? If you did not, let me point it out to you. It's this one. I'm going to use Alt F4 if I'm done playing. I can also use the X in the corner. So just start typing if you're looking for an application. So display configuration, whatever. And it starts guessing at what you're looking for. Kind of a nice little tool to have. All right, moving across the panel bar. First of all, let me make mention of the fact that I'm currently running this at 110, which is normally not the normal height of the panel bar. But you can certainly change that just by right-clicking and hitting Edit Mode. I didn't make mention of the widgets yet, but I will talk about that in a second. Okay, once I get on the panel, when I'm going to right-click on the, sorry, not the panel, the desktop. Let me continue on here. So you got a shortcut to System Settings, the Software Center, the Dolphin File Manager, and Firefox, the web browser. This one here you won't have. It's the Simple Screen Recorder. Again, I installed that, and that's what I'm using to record this video. So moving across the panel bar, that's the icon for Simple Screen Recorder, red while it's recording. The next one over is the Tuxedo Control Center, which is available only on this Plasma desktop. So right-clicking or opening manually. So basically, you got the Control Center. It doesn't, you can right-click or click. It doesn't matter. And then you can do your adjustments there. Clipboard, the volume thing, the Bluetooth thing, the microphone thing, the wireless thing. I think most people can figure out most of this kind of stuff. Now, this is the hidden icons, notifications, updates, night control, vaults, power management, disk and devices, display configuration, KDE Connect, lock key status, and printers. Now I'll close that one and click on the calendar date thing. Quick calendar, and then I close. And this icon down here is minimize all windows. All right, we have right-clicking on the screen or the desktop. We got the change the wallpaper thing. That's what I first showed. You also have mouse actions, location, icons, filters, and about. Lots of options here. I'm going to hit OK. Right-clicking, display settings. It just opens up system settings in that tab. One more time with the resolution and display. I'll use the X in the corner this time. We have create new something. Folders, text files, empty file, HTMLs, the LibreOffice stuff, link to location URL. I'll be showing that when I show this icon. The icon sort by. The paste and the trash I'm going to skip over and refresh desktop. Adding widgets. All right, we have lots of options. We have a little scroll bar in here. I'm going to pull out one of these here in a second, which is that logout, lockout, lock and logout. So let me pull that one out and I'll drop it right next to this other icon. All right, so you can search widgets, get new widgets, and all widgets. Lots of options there. What is this icon I just pulled out here and left? If you click it, it's the quick way of doing that shutdown thing, except it's got a timer. Now I can also change my mind. Unlike this one, where I double click and it powers down the system immediately. I believe if you use this one, if you're using like simple screen recorder, it'll complain it's open and you have to deal with that message. This one does not do that. It's just going to shut down my system. All right, I think this may be a time for me to talk about that key. So let me open up Dolphin for a second and open up my documents folder. I have a script folder here. So I got two scripts. One is using rsync and this one is using this command that actually shuts this down. So let me double click on this thing and open this in a text editor. I'm using Kate. Let me make this larger for you so you can see it on the screen. It's only 2 lines. I use the bin bash statement and then I use the systemctl one word lowercase space power off command. This particular command does not require you to answer any questions. You click that thing or perform this thing, it's not going to ask any questions. It'll power down your system really quickly. Pound exclamation point, no space, /bin, /bash is the bin bash statement. That stands for born again shell. It opens that and then performs the systemctl power off command. Once you create one of these things in a text file, you need to mark the text file under properties, permissions as executable, so it'll be ran as a program. Then if you want to create something like this, I'm going to minimize that. Create a button like that, you right click on your screen, create new something, and create a link to location, URL. Give the thing a name. Since I used Shutdown Now, I'll just use the word PowerDown Now. I'm going to emphasize the word now because I'm going to caution you on using these things. URL, link to location, universal resource locator. So I'm going to click that little box right there and hit file and go find my script. So I'm going to open that and it's the power off one. Providing I have that file set to be ran as a program, this is now ready to go. If you don't like the icon, right click, properties, click the icon itself. You can make this wider if you like. Click the all icons, type in S. If you want to look for your own icons, you can certainly do that, but there are 2 of these provided for you. This one here is what I used on this one. Now I'm going to use the skinnier one, the one next to it. This may not look skinnier, but once I get this done, you'll see what I'm talking about. It's right up in here. Now, before you double click on these things, may I give you some advice? This icon is not forgiving, not going to ask you any questions. It's going to power down your system immediately. So if you got open files, please save them before using icons like this. It's not going to be kind and do this. It'll power down the system immediately. Okay, these are instant power off keys. Save your files before utilizing something like that. So on that note, folks, hopefully you enjoyed this video, and thank you for watching.